Well, we might as well have some entertainment while we sit here. How about a real American robot? Anybody name that song? Or the artist? Come on, band nerds. I know you're out there.
Stars and Stripes by John Philip Sousa.
Good job. You ever tried to play it on an instrument?
Me personally, no, because I played the wrong instruments.
I tried to play it on the clarinet and got slaughtered. Maybe this one. Give you something else. Name that song. Star Wars nerds, you're quiet. Good job. That's just a glue stick with what are called neopixels behind it, mounted on a servo. And the song is, of course, Cantina Band, and it's put as a WAV file format on this SD card. This is the kind of stuff you could do with an ActivityBot that you can't do with any other robot. I think this one has Ozzy Osbourne in it. Let's see. Dead speaker. Well, we're still letting people load in. I hear them joining us right now. Let's give them a little bit of time. Oh, low batteries. And we have 22 people, so let a few more join us. Alan, tell the kid behind you this is boring. There's nothing to see. Here's some more really boring stuff. This is a gripper.
I don't think he believed you.
He's going to be bugging his dad this whole time.
Probably.
Nothing to see here.
He's on the other computer doing his schoolwork right now.
Good job. Here's a real crazy one. This one is outfit with 440 screws hot glued to the wheels so it could drive on ice. And this is also an ultrasonic sensor. So this actually works quite nicely on ice. Give you a close-up look at that. Little hot glue gun. Almost got about 30, so we'll wait another minute. For those of you who have used Zoom before, I set this up as a Zoom meeting. Give me a thumbs up on your Zoom experience, or thumbs up if you've been using it. Okay, you know the difference between meeting and webinar. Meetings are interactive, and the tool supports it, and the webinars are kind of a one-way speaker to watchers, and you can fall asleep and run away if it's boring. So I didn't use that format here. I used meeting so we can all chat and ask questions openly when we get stuck, which is really way more productive. Andy, if Stephanie doesn't show, I'm gonna tag you as co-host. No need to reply, I know you're muted.
Oh, that's okay. I'll certainly give it a try, but I will first go see if I can get Stephanie on. Be right back.
She might be stuck in Zoom purgatory or something.
Let's hope not. I will be right back.
So how's everybody doing with this mandatory break? Are we finding the bright spots? I can't read your lips. You have to enable your microphone to say something.
No mandatory break. Lots of teaching online right now and continuing on with curriculum, getting ready for AP exams.
Wow. Okay, you obviously have high school kids then.
Yes, I teach AP Chemistry, AP Physics 1, and AP Physics 2, as well as teaching our Fab Lab courses.
No rest for you. So some of the teachers of the younger students are having trouble finding the groove with all of this because of connecting computers. Interesting. Cannot grade, but are allowed to provide learning opportunities. Wow. Well, that's okay. Grading. So we'll get rolling here in about a minute. Well, we're in California, for those of you who don't know Parallax, Sacramento area between San Francisco and Reno. And I'm currently located today in Truckee, working from nearby my home. And you guys are all over the country, it turns out.
Stephanie is on her way.
All right. We'll get rolling. Andy, can you see the slide that I have shown?
Yes.
Okay, good. So one thing about Zoom, I don't know what the viewers can see.
Well, so I see a Blockly slide with ActivityBot 360 distance learning as the first comment. Is that
Good stuff. Yep, we're in the right place. Well, I want to welcome everybody to this Zoom meeting. We're going to have a lot of fun. So you're our second set today. We started earlier this morning with a different robot, and we had as many as 60 people online, and we are definitely building this airplane as we're flying it and trying to do something that we've normally done with teachers where we're in front of them for a day or two. We are trying the high points and get them over many hurdles so they can get started on their own. So it's been a heck of an experience for us, and so far it's actually worked out pretty well. Our last session, we had, as I mentioned, 60 people. They were all pretty much programming. We had 3 little technical problems, which we're able to fix. Some of them were kind of the manufacturing variety, but in general, it's working. So we want to hear from you afterwards. If you drop us a note and just tell us this didn't work or this was good or whatever, because I really think that this is as much about communication in some ways using the tools. and how we use them. The tools are somewhat new. We have experience with Zoom for many years, but probably less with meetings. So my name is Ken Gracie, and I'm from Parallax, and welcome you all here today from all over the place. We are in the ActivityBot Zoom meeting, and we will be actually today, I think you've already built the robots, we'll be getting them rolling, calibrate them, and we're going to get familiar with Blockly, Parallax's version of it, which is the most capable Blockly available for microcontroller. This happens to be my favorite robot. It does the most, has the most capability. It's running our own processor on it. It's called a propeller. It's a multi-core chip. So if you've programmed other devices like Arduinos or whatever, those are generally single-threaded. And our processor that you're using on this robot has 8 cores in it, which makes possible some of the things I was showing you earlier, like this kind of stuff where you can play songs, roll, check sensors for the band geeks. All right, so that's possible with an ActivityBot. And the code development, once you get the hang of Blockly, is really, really fast. So for actually doing things, I truly challenge anybody to code what you will see with Blockly Prop nearly as fast. However, there are a couple things I'll tell you about it. So coming through, rising up through the ages now is a whole lump of students moving like this from all your STEM education efforts that have a lot of experience in visual programming languages. It's quite common that when you put this in front of them, they say they're off and running and I got the tool, yeah, no problem. But what they don't know is electronics, mechanics, and all these other pieces that we're adding into this. So we can put the brakes on them, and there's a much larger world. So the programming is a part of, it's our tool set. What's wonderful about Blockly Prop and all Blockly versions is that they produce syntax working code without trouble. So the results come really quick. Anyone programmed this robot before?
I have. It's Stephanie, your co-host.
Oh, my co-host is here. Awesome. Okay, we'll move right on. Actually, I'll introduce my co-host first since she snuck in.
I think you need to pass co-host duties to me as well.
Okay, thank you. I'll do that right now. Welcome, co-host. So you're talking to Ken from Parallax, and my co-host, co-pilot, building the plane as we fly it is Stephanie. We also have a few other Parallaxers on board here hanging out who will help us with various problems that we may encounter. So our agenda, this is what we have in store for you, and there are 30 of you here. Today, and you may have already done some of this, if you did, that's great. We'll install Blockly Prop Launcher and connect it to the ActivityBot. And we're just gonna write some simple programs and get familiar with Blockly Prop. I notice that some of us have trouble if we've done only text-based programming. Sometimes it's frustrating to use the visual tools, whereas the students know them really well and how to move things, copy things, drag things around, whatever. But there's some tips that I'd like to show you. So we'll just start by writing a little Blockly program. And then we're going to get familiar with the ActivityBot briefly and move into calibrating it. And then your assignment will be to do from the tutorials some of our navigation projects. And then Wednesday, we'll rejoin and we will build some circuits. And we'll do that live. And we'll do that so we have a chance to talk about how to manage this with students. And then also just how the Parallax tutorials work with circuit building. So we'll build a whisker circuit, get it working, and have a lot of success, and then send you on your way to do an advanced circuit build. And then on Thursday, we'll show you how to debug some of these advanced circuits, and we'll talk about some of the projects you can do with the ActivityBot 360, how to get them, how to get support, and we'll have an awards ceremony. So we have 3 categories of awards to give out. One is, and I haven't seen anyone participate yet from the last meeting, but you got to show us your coworkers. You know, that's the term for whoever's stuck at home working with you. It could be a pet, a kid, whatever. So you got to show a coworker, get our attention to see them, and the funniest coworker will win a prize. And then the second is the biggest fail. So this, you can call it failures, but sometimes you don't have power plugged in, or you don't have, your code is just off, and you have that, oh, I got it now, a minute, or sometimes just do kind of stupid stuff. So you have to tell on yourself, write out your biggest failure for us to give you an award. So it's going to be humbling. And then not so humble, third category is the biggest winner. So whoever produces the most impressive project for Thursday with your new skills will be a recipient of also a prize. So we got the funniest co-host, biggest loser, biggest winner, or I should say biggest fail, biggest win. All right, any questions about our plans here? Give me thumbs up, everybody, or thumbs down. Okay, cool. All right, and for you, I just hope you enjoy this, participate, that you see some of the challenges using this in a class, and then you encounter those challenges and just cross them off your list so that you have confidence. And any questions you have along the way. You all have microphones you can unmute, so just say what you are thinking, ask us questions. You can use the chat to communicate with us as well. We need to hear from you. This is a unique situation because you're all on your computers and you're doing a project live with us, and we can't see what you're doing, so we'll count on that feedback. So Blockly Prop, you're using the ActivityBot, as I mentioned. This robot is my favorite. It's our most powerful. It has a multi-core microcontroller on it. It has the most capable board on it with a lot of connection things that do various stuff, everything from wireless programming to ultrasonic to audio amplifiers to whatever. It's pretty much here. There's an A to D converter, there's LEDs. So that's the hardware. There are 5 pieces to the whole ActivityBot. The second part would be the Blockly Prop programming environment, and there's also C, which I will show you. The third necessary piece is the tutorials, and then the fourth is the assessment, teaching guides, all for you. And I think some of you may not actually have gotten access to our Educator login. Did you all get access, and did it work? Okay, interesting, because in the last meeting I had like at least 25 saying, I don't have access. But I didn't find out who those people were, but now it's too late. We'll have to get them on Wednesday. And then how it goes over with the actual use of the robot with your students is the most important part of it. About Parallax, we're located in Rockland. We do American manufacturing. We're a company of 20 people. We're currently operating in minimal operations with about 6 people in manufacturing, shipping, kitting to keep the business going, and the rest of us are, of course, from home. So manufacturing goes on. And if you're new to us, there are a lot of pieces to what we do, but we're well known for all these things you're looking at here. Microcontrollers, robots. We actually make our own microcontrollers. This P2 that you see in the upper right side is a chip that we've designed over a 14-year period, believe it or not, a long R&D project, research and development, and it's now done. So that's coming on the market, and we hope to have a Python language interpreter for that. We do a lot of teaching of classes. Normally we go to sites. We've taught somewhere north of 5,000 teachers, and we make educational tutorials. People use our products for designing their own products and for education, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to use Blockly Prop Solo and what's called Launcher. Up until recently, we had 2 versions of Blockly Prop. We had a cloud-based version where you would log into it on our Amazon web servers, and I said the word login, so that means with a password and login. And we're closing that system down because of complexities with passwords and logins. It's just a kind of a barrier to quickly using it, not to mention COPA compliance. So we've taken now that system and we made kind of an offline version that has no login, no password, and supports local file saving, but it still runs in a browser. And it's called Blockly Prop Solo. And that's hopefully what you've installed. So for customers that have been around us for a while, they're familiar with the cloud version. And it definitely had its benefits, like really quick file sharing. But we hope to build that into the Solo version that you're using today. So I'm thinking that we could just jump right into getting Blockly Prop up and running for all of us. That sounds good. Thumbs up. Okay, good, good. All right, and you see my blue screen right now, my computer display. All right, so I installed Blockly Prop Launcher already, and I have this on my desktop. I'm going to walk you through how I go about using it, and then I'll have you actually follow me, and we'll connect up our robots in just a minute. So when you start Launcher, you'll see this window, and you have two choices, and the one you're always going to use is Blockly Prop Solo. And when I click on this, this starts up what looks like a browser window. It's actually a self-contained Chrome application plus our Blockly Prop Solo. And when you use this, it draws what you need from our servers to compile the code and return it back to your robot. There's another way to go about this, which I like to do, and you can do if you prefer as well. It's to run this in a browser tab. So if you open up a browser and then you navigate to https://solo.parallax.com, you'll get the same thing. So it just looks different, but for working in a web browser in Chrome, where we all should be, I find this approach more handy than having this window. So I'll leave it up to you which you do. Okay, I'm actually going to close the self-contained version and run it in a browser. All right, get a thumbs up from all of you on that. Okay, good, good. All right, does everyone have Blockly Prop Launcher installed? You guys, you actually read my email? I can't read your lips, but I think I said, yeah, I read it. Okay, good. All right, I know there's been one thing about this remote working sure pushes a lot of communication towards email, doesn't it? Gosh. All right. So once you're here, you can just start up a new project and give it a name. And I'm just going to call mine LED blink or blinker, because that's what we're going to do. Oh, and at this point, okay, I made a jump for you, but you can configure your Zoom and your browser side by side if you want, or if you have a tablet, you can have the webinar on the tablet. But basically, you want to be able to follow what I'm doing here. So you'll want to see my screen and yours. And I know this can be pretty darn tricky because it's tricky for me to manage all these systems on my end too. All right, so choose the board type. I'm going to choose Propeller Activity Board. I'm going to call it my first project. And then click Continue. And you should see this blank canvas. So this is Parallax's port of Google Blockly, highly customized for our own uses. So the first thing we want to do is actually verify that we can download code to your robot. So I'm going to plug my robot in right now. And you will see that once it's plugged in, this little searching shows COM15. Hopefully y'all saw that. It's right up in here. You see that? COM15? Okay, and you will see your robot there, or whatever your COM port number is. Could be anything. My computer's highly loaded with things through the years I've put on it, so. Okay, and you'll need to turn your robot on. Thank you, Matt. You're right. Your robot has a 3-position switch on it, and it will need to be at least in position 1 to be recognized. So in a moment here, I'll be looking to all of you to see you've got this. Does everyone have this? COM port shows up? Okay, it's not that easy. There are a few people here I can't see or hear. How about some thumbs down for those that don't see their COM port? Okay, Bob. USB cable connected, robot turned on. Okay, batteries in robot. Anybody else not seeing it? And we'll come back to Bob.
Do you
And you
see
can-
the pink message saying that you need to connect to the launcher, or do you already see the select the correct port message for Bob?
Bob, when you're ready, enable your audio and tell us what you're seeing. Anyone else not see their...
My lights are on. I have both the USB in and the batteries plugged in. I've got 2 lights on at the power. And whether I go 2 lights or a single light in the center, I have no devices found.
How about Blockly Prop client or launcher?
I'm in solo.
You're in
Okay.
solo. Do you look above the green buttons in solo? Do you see a message above the green round buttons in solo?
Says the launcher's not found.
Okay.
So you need to run your launcher if you've installed it, or you can click on that message and it'll give you an option to go get the launcher if you don't have it installed.
Pretty sure I did it, but I'll do it again.
Okay, and once you start the launcher, you should see what I'm showing right now, this window. And it might also turn to green once you do this, the status button. Anybody else having trouble with the connectivity? Looking for some thumbs down on the visuals? Oh, okay. Joel, let's talk about your situation. Do you have Blockly Prop Launcher running?
I'm sorry, I misinterpreted your question. I heard
Oh, okay.
Anybody else having problems? And that was a no, I'm not.
Oh.
Okay.
Communication's everything, isn't it? Oh, okay. So, Marco, you do have a problem.
I'm not sure. So when I connected my robot to my computer, it doesn't show an indication. I have a COM3 visible on my computer, but I don't see any other indication that it actually connected.
Did that show up as you look in your solo? Did it show up as an available COM port right here where I'm showing?
I'm not sure what you're showing. I see you, but I don't see.
Oh,
what
okay.
you're
Let me
referring
get a
to.
screen share back. Sorry. Okay. So right now, you should be seeing my solo.parallax.com, and there's a COM port shown, a number here. Do you see this on yours?
No, not yet.
Okay. Is your robot plugged in? Is it powered up?
Oh, I don't see your other screen, or I just see you and everyone else. I'm having trouble with Zoom as
Marco,
well.
there might be a button in the upper right corner of your screen that looks like a window with a little picture-in-picture, and it's to swap the shared screen with video. If you click that, you might be able to see his presentation.
Okay, and Claire points out that the USB does not fit in her computer. Oh, she must have a Mac, maybe USB-C. So
I just sent my daughter downstairs to get my adapter. And so now I'm trying to catch up. And I should be there in a second. So I'm good. You can keep going, I think.
okay, and Bob, did you get it sorted?
Nope, no joy yet.
Huh?
I
And
had the launcher already launched, but it doesn't show. It's waiting for something to connect.
Did you
Okay.
refresh your browser?
Say again?
Try refreshing your browser. Sometimes I
and
have
you are
to do
in Chrome. Yeah, and to refresh, what is it? Control-Shift refresh.
that. Control Shift R or Control F5 will refresh. Or hitting the little refresh swirly to the left of the URL.
Okay, we'll wait a few more minutes, and then what we'll do if we have trouble is we'll take you offline at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, and do some further troubleshooting. But I think everybody else pretty much is seeing the robot show up as a COM port, though, right? Okay. All right. So let's move on then. So I'm going to write a little Blockly prop program, and we're going to download it to the computer or to the robot. And in doing this, we're going to explore Blockly. So if you're totally new to this, the blocks are color-coded with the menu on the left. So I'm going to go into Control, and I'm going to find the Repeat Forever block and drag it out. So third one down under the Control menu. And I don't know how to get rid of the annotation I've made on my COM port. It will not disappear. Sorry about that. So we'll just have to live with that. Unless Stephanie has a way to figure out how to get rid of it. So once you have Repeat Forever out, let's go into pin states on the left side, and let's get the first block, which says make pin 0 high. Grab that, drag it out, and then I want you to drop it in the forever loop. And once you're there, let's change the pin number from 0 to 26. And 26 happens to be an LED that's on the activity board. And then also change this high to toggle. So each time this loop runs, the state of that pin will go from low to high. However, this loop's going to run so fast, I really don't think we're going to see it blink. So I want to put a pause in there. If you go into Control and then down the side, you will find Pause. Grab that and drop it in. Now, 1 second's kind of a long time to wait. This is in milliseconds. Let's just change it to 250 milliseconds. And give me a thumbs up if you're all getting this code just about right. Okay, good, good. Lots of thumbs up. Oh, you found the thumbs up button. That's even better. All right, so there are 3 green buttons on top. The third one over is load and run. Save code to EEPROM. Go ahead, download it, and you should see download ... succeeded with an LED blinking. Good stuff, okay. Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? Okay, might as well throw a hello world in there too then. The world is a traditional first program, so we'll just drop that in here. So next, let's go under Communicate on the left, and then go to Terminal, and choose the one on top, Terminal Print Text. Grab that, drop it in, put something in there. Whatever you wish. And then do the same thing, download. This time you will see a black terminal screen come up, like you're seeing on my computer. All right, another line. Oh my gosh, we're getting overrun. Buffer overflow. All right. Got the idea? Okay, it's pretty cool. All right, good. So let's poke around Blockly for a little bit, then we're going to go calibrate our robots. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind where we actually are here, what we're using. I have just sped you through the tutorials on learn.parallax.com like I'm showing. We are in the ActivityBot. And when you click on this, you'll see 2 versions of this as main lessons, plus a bunch of prerequisites. basically, we've just got you started with Solo and we've written our first program, so we're somewhere in here. But down in the main lessons, you'll see there are 2 blocks. The one on the left is the one you want, Blockley Prop Robotics with the ActivityBot 360. The one on the right is a legacy version. It's for our older robot. You have this one. So these are the tutorials you're doing, and I'm just kind of navigating you through them. But for your homework, you're going to go back to them and look at them. So about Blockley Prop. And you might just want to watch this, or you could follow along and see the various features here. Okay, so up on top, these green buttons, the first green one verifies your code. It just compiles it. So that's a code check. And like many tools of this variety, the errors can be kind of cryptic. All right, but it does check that your code will download. The second button is what I would call a very fast download. It loads to RAM and it loses its memory when you cycle power. So consider this as a load and run one time really quickly. So you'll see it's really fast, done. All right, but the other one, EEPROM, the third button, is what you should generally use. And then the fourth one is a graphing utility, which we haven't. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the terminal. So I've clicked on that, you would see this. And of course, my ActivityBot is still spitting out another line, nothing else to do. And then the fifth button is actually graphing. Okay, so what's unique about Blockley Prop is you can learn this from using it. And what I mean by that is the help file is extensive. So let's say I'm under sensor, and then I pulled out, distance for ping, because you have a ping sensor in your kit. And then I right-click on this block. You'll see this menu come up, all these choices, collapse, disable, delete, whatever. I want to draw your attention to the help. So the help is our reference. And this gives you all the parameters and then how to use the block. And often if there's hardware involved, we'll show you the wiring for that hardware. So this one was the ping, and I chose it because we have a very complete reference for it. But a lot of them are this way. You can thank Stephanie for this. She's here. This is what she lives in, among other things. I should point out too, I mentioned earlier, this is the most powerful Blockley you'll ever use. Look at all these sensors that we offer. And even if you want to use something you don't see here, guess what? You can still likely talk to it. These blocks involve libraries that package up the communication very nicely with one block for you. But sensors that have analog outputs or serial outputs or pulses or whatever, we have ways to read them too. So just because you don't see a block for it doesn't mean it won't work. And there's even blocks for creating multiple processors on your screen, which is really, really crazy. So we won't have time to do that right now. So you right click to get to help. Also, if you right click, you can collapse a block. All right, this isn't the best example. Let's right click on the loop and then collapse it. Okay, so that makes it really small. And this is useful when you have a lot of functions and you get big code. So for example, if you had a function like this, and then you just wanted to call that function, here we go, run function, my function. So that block will just run this code. And as your code gets bigger and bigger, you might have functions that say check a sensor, do a calculation, whatever. You can also collapse those blocks and then right click on your screen and then choose clean up blocks, and then it organizes everything. Sometimes Blockley Prop does this funny thing where it throws your workspace down to the right. You can recenter it by clicking on the centering tool, and that probably sized it to, I think, 100%. I had it zoomed in. When you're working in a browser, you can also Control plus and Control minus. Super useful to be able to do that. So I'll zoom in just a little bit more. All right, now how do you detach and work with blocks once you've got something going? So let's say you wanted to get this pause out of here, okay? You can just click on it and delete it, and then Control Z to bring it right back. Let's say you wanted to detach blocks, a certain section of blocks. You would touch the top block, select it, and drag it out, okay? What else is here? Code. if you click on the code button, you'll see the C code that I currently have. And you can take this out and then use it in our simple IDE if your students want to continue programming in C. Also over on the right side under the hamburger menu, we'll get you to the help and reference, and you can download. This is what you need to do if you want to use C code. Download simple IDE files. This will take everything you need to open up this project in C. So clicking on the blocks button returns us back to the blocks. Okay, yep.
Jeff has shared with us, Jeff Rupp, that if you can click on clear in the annotation menu to make those scribbles go away if you want.
Oh, excellent. Okay. I'm just going to do that really quick. So all I see is annotate, but there's no other options. Oh, wait, maybe you found it. Thanks, Jeff. Clear all drawings. Okay, good riddance. I'm not going to use that tool again. Okay, then I need to get back to my mouse. All right, good stuff. All right, everyone okay with what they've seen so far? All right, want to move on to calibrating our robot and making a move? All right, let's do that. So I'm going to take all the blocks I've got, chuck them in the trash can, and have an empty workspace. You can also click on New if you just want to do it that way. Oh, by the way, there is the Save button. I can't save an empty project, so let me just put a comment here. And I'd like to show you how the Save button works. So in my browser, in my Chrome, I have set it up by configuring the Save As in settings to prompt me for a dialog to choose a save location. All right, if you don't do that and you click Save, it'll just save in your Downloads folder. So that this becomes, you know, a kind of a hassle for some people pretty quickly. You can choose where it goes. It's somewhere in here. Go into settings, and then I think you choose save, save as, save. Well, anyway, someone will find it and show us.
It's settings advanced.
Settings advanced.
So scroll down and you'll see.
Oh, location.
Yeah, and also
Here it is.
It turns out that if it saves and downloads, that can be a good thing too. It'll just auto-enumerate, and so every time you save, you'll see a different version of your file, and take the highest number that you're happy with and copy that over using a file browser to your favorite spot for storing your good programs.
And here's that toggle switch. Ask where to save each file before downloading. So choose that, and then you can choose the directory. Okay, so moving on, we're going to calibrate our robots now. This is really nice that you've all got them built. How about showing us your robots for a minute? Up to the screen, and let's get a look. Okay, all right, looking good. Any customizations yet? It was fun building it, right? Yeah, okay. All right, so let's calibrate. So go down to the robot menu and then scroll down, and I want you to find the Calibrate block. It says ActivityBot 360 Calibrate. Drag that out. And this will be the only block on your workspace. Okay, so it's a one block effort at the moment. I'm going to switch over to my robot and show you what should happen. So let me get my video straight. And then I will try to pin this or spotlight it. It's currently spotlighted. All right. So maybe I can even enlarge it for us. Does that work? Okay. So I am going to download the Calibrate block. My robot currently is in switch position 1. The process works like this. Download it, turn it off, disconnect the cable, let it run. And if it calibrates successfully, it will do what this one is about to do. And this has to go in EEPROM. So I'm downloading now. downloading now, like I said, right? Hopefully Chrome is not giving me fits all of a sudden.
It waits until someone's watching you.
Yeah, right. That's what demos are about, huh?
Totally.
For kicks, I will just unplug.
So mine did that, but the download failed. Is that a problem?
Yeah, it should succeed. So your robot needs to be on.
Same. Mine failed as well.
Just one, right?
Yep, in one.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for mine to come back. I'm going to try this again.
Nope.
Okay, so mine downloaded. Well, just a minute here. We'll try to sort out your issues too. I turn the robot on. And now it's going to run through the calibration routine. And so what's happening here is that there are servos which have feedback. So you might be used to robots which you can only give a speed and duration to. These particular motors have this yellow wire, which you've plugged in hopefully the right spot. And that yellow wire is a feedback signal. And the library does the calculations for you so that you're able to give this both speed and distance, okay, in ticks, centimeters, or inches. And that's really useful. So this robot calibrated successfully because the two yellow lights went off. And if it did not calibrate successfully, you would have seen it wiggle like this at the end, nodding its head. Okay, and a likely cause of that is either having the yellow one switched or switching the servos. And let me tell you, it's very easy to do because when you turn this robot upside down, left is right, right is left, we get all turned around. You sometimes have to trace your wires very, very carefully. And the way it works is the left one goes into P12, and then the right motor goes into P13, and then the yellow line for left one goes into P14, and then the yellow for the right goes into P15. So I'd like y'all to try some Calibrate, and let's see if we could sort out some of the problems you might have. We're doing good on time.
There's also a block that allows you to display your calibration results if your robot wags its tail saying no like a bee. You can get a diagnostic message as to what the issue is.
And I'll bring that block up, and I didn't fail, so I don't know what it will actually show.
What's the process again? Have it all connected? Will you repeat the process?
Sure. Okay, so the process is put it in position 1, get the Calibrate block from the robot menu. It's towards the bottom. ActivityBot 360 Calibrate, drag it out. And then, while the robot is in position 1, you will download the EEPROM, third button over. And then after it says succeeded, you could turn the robot off, disconnect the USB cable, and then turn it on to position 2, and it will go through its process.
And an important little bit about it going through its process is you'll be waiting for it to complete all those maneuvers Ken is showing you right now, but there will also be a pair of yellow lights that are below the white board on it. And those yellow lights are going to stay on for a little while after it has completed its maneuvers. You have to wait until those yellow lights turn off like they just did before you can turn the power off. Otherwise, the calibration won't be completely saved.
So let's get a thumbs up, thumbs down from that thumb button. Okay, a little more. Register some more thumbs, please. I'm only seeing, okay. I don't see any downs yet. Okay, there's a thumb down. Some people use the video part, not the button. So, okay, so for those with thumbs down, let's spend a couple minutes looking at the issues you're having.
Ken, can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
If you have to move your ActivityBot in the middle of the calibration, will that mess up the calibration, like it was about to go off the table?
Yes, you'll need to start over.
Okay, thank you.
As long as it hasn't finished calibrating, you can just grab it and push down the reset button, put it in a new spot, and then let go, and it'll start over from the beginning. What it's doing in the last part of its routine is it's writing values that it took, measurements that it took during the calibration, and writing them to EEPROM. So you want to catch it before it started doing that part. Otherwise, you should re-download the program so it overwrites anything it tried to put in EEPROM.
For those having trouble with the calibration, is it a connection problem or is it calibration failing?
What mine was is I had the yellow wires on the wrong pins. So when I switched it around and re-downloaded it, it immediately worked.
Great.
Yeah, and the there's a block in there that you can use to find out if you go through the calibration and the ActivityBot wiggles its tail, basically shaking his head saying no. The block that Ken is placing right now, where it's ActivityBot 360 calibration results, when you run that, it will either it'll try to give you a hint as to what is preventing the calibration from going right, be it low batteries or swapped yellow wires, things like that. So it'll actually display a message for you when you run it.
Anybody else have trouble with calibration where it did download but then failed?
Well, people might have their power switch in position
Claire?
1 when they downloaded, but not moving it to 2.
And Claire, when you ran it, did you put it in position 2?
I did. It said it calibrated great. I double pushed my yellow pins down in case maybe they weren't. The yellow button just flashed, so I'm turning it off, correct?
Okay.
Then I'm unplugging it. Then I'm moving to my kitchen floor, and I'm putting it on 2.
Okay, we might lose her audio. Anyone else while she's doing
But
that
it's
check?
not moving.
Oh, okay, so let's go through the download process again for yours. Very likely it runs once and that's it. So go back to Blockly, connect it.
Okay.
And put that calibrate block back on the screen.
Okay.
Let me know when you're there.
I'm good.
Okay, and then put the switch in position 1.
Okay.
Otherwise it will download, then roll away. And cable's connected, and then do you see your COM port showing up?
Yep.
Okay, good. So now third button, load and run, and then you'll see download, and then
And it says
succeeded. Now turn your switch off on the robot.
Okay.
Disconnect the USB cable.
Okay.
And then put it on the ground, back to the kitchen floor, and let her go.
Then you have to turn the switch all the way to position 2 this time.
Switch all the way to position 2. Can you hear us?
Oh, okay, it worked.
Okay, and then let's see that you succeed. So you should go through some circles, right, left, and then eventually the 2 LEDs will go off.
Okay.
I followed that entire process, and every time I get all the way to put it in position 2 and then nothing happens.
Maybe when you're downloading the code in the first place, be sure that you're using the green button that has the arrow with a line under it. Make sure it's downloading to EEPROM. Otherwise, if it's downloaded to RAM, when you turn that switch off, it'll forget the program, and it won't be there when you turn it back on.
Also check to make sure that the white wire and the servo cable is that those are closer to the edge of the blue board, and the black wire of the cable is closer to the white breadboard.
I confirmed that.
Good.
I mean, and I've had this thing running various codes before, so I know that I am using the EE
third button.
Yep.
And I'll do it again just to verify. And the black wires are closest to the white breadboard, and the white wires are closest to the external edge of the device. As
Okay.
soon as it downloads, the pin 26 and the pin 27 lights light up and are solid.
Okay, that's the time to turn it to position 0 on the switch.
And then they blink. Now they're blinking. I'm going to shut it off. Pull out that USB cable, put it to position 2, and nothing.
Okay, I'm wondering if do it again, except for don't wait long enough to allow the lights to blink. So load the code, and as soon as the yellow lights come on, immediately set the 3-position switch to position 0.
Okay.
Claire, you succeeded, right? Okay.
Yes, same result.
But this robot's worked for you prior till today?
Yes.
And you have batteries, fresh batteries in there?
I don't know that I put them in fresh. Oh, there's a, we'll see here. Oh, baby, the battery
There you
got
go.
bumped.
Okay,
Look out, she's going.
So one
Right.
of the batteries was part way out, I take it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you're going to need to turn the switch to off again and then turn it back on again. So it can
Okay,
start
so
from the
this is
beginning
great.
on the floor.
you have then all experienced anything up to this point that would be a barrier to a student. You've seen it. And so people call us all the time with support issues. It's often batteries, power supply when working with motors. But in this case, probably a battery was lodged sideways in the battery pack.
Yep, it just slid down a little bit.
Yeah, and that's not, kind of a design issue we have too, where if you drop this robot on the table, the batteries can pop out like I just did. So, yeah, don't do that. Otherwise, everybody's connected. Anyone's?
If it wiggles at the end, I need to add that block and figure out why it's crabby. True statement?
Yeah.
Yes, true.
Looks like a B. And then we have, I can't create the new project. Jeff is asking there. Yeah, a strip of plastic across the batteries can help hold them into place. Some brands stay in better than others. People have also used little Velcro straps. That's another option. It's a good tip from David Payne.
How
Okay.
does the display calibration work when it's not connected? What's the mechanism for that?
You plug the robot back in.
And it'll pop it up?
Will you plug the robot back in, throw away your calibrate block, and replace it with a display calibration block?
Oh, okay.
And I'll let Andy take it from there.
Oh, well, then you'll click the same load EEPROM and run button, and a little terminal window, a black terminal window should pop up and tell you that basically the first thing that the program noticed that wasn't working right. And if you find and fix that, hopefully that'll fix it. Sometimes you'll have to repeat the process and find out the second thing that it noticed wasn't working right.
So you're good if the terminal is completely empty?
I would try pressing and releasing the RST button that's right above the 3-position switch. Hopefully it'll display then.
I think she's asking too, if you calibrate successfully and then you run the display calibration results, what would you expect to see?
It should show you a success message that that the calibration was successful. Ken, you're running it right now, and oh, blank terminal.
Yeah, so
that's unusual. Can you press reset, Ken?
Yep, reset.
Because when I did, it said, uh-oh, something isn't right here.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So, all right. Mine actually calibrated fine, though.
Yeah, well, let's see what...
My robot is apparently being mysterious because it says something isn't right, but this diagnostic cannot identify it.
But it did pass physically when you watched it. It calibrated properly, right?
Well, it did the spinning and stuff like that, but then towards the end, it did that little scoochy thing.
Oh, okay. So that means that something's not wired just right.
That coming.
Okay, so for you then, what you'll need to do is I usually start by unplugging the servos and the yellow signal line, and then I trace them back to the motors underneath. And I tug on them carefully to find out which one is which. I start with this one, which would be the left one, and it goes into P12. And more likely than not, you have something swapped on the top.
I'm posting, excuse me, a link to the electrical connections page for the tutorial to have easy access to that graphic and the double check the connections if you scroll down.
So if you look at the bottom of mine, I don't know, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of did like we usually do for the Bobot, mounted them upside down. Is that a problem?
No, it's okay with this robot.
Okay.
More or less.
So, all right. I'll keep on twisting.
Okay, but you still have a calibration problem, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so good. We'll take note of that. Anyone else have a calibration issue? So give me some thumbs down if you have a calibration issue still, because we'll hold those and then try to resolve them at the end of this meeting. And then for the rest of us, I'll get us moving on to the next thing, since we're almost out of time already.
I don't know. I don't see a thumbs down on the Mac. I don't know if Mac doesn't have it. I can clap and I can do thumbs up.
Okay, and you have a calibration problem?
But yeah, this is Chris, and I can't get mine to get, my wheels won't spin at all. But I've been able to program it. I made it move around the house before we even started our call today. So I think I can make my wheels spin just by dropping in code that says move 5 centimeters, but it won't run the calibration.
Okay, so hold that one and we'll deal with that in a moment. What's your name again?
This is Chris.
Chris, okay.
Okay, so that is something to note, is that the ActivityBot should go with a default calibration that allows you to still do stuff even if the calibration fails.
Yeah, like I said, I was able to make him move. So.
Yeah, okay, good. So we can basically hold that thought and move on to navigation and get you squared away afterwards.
Okay, good. All right, so before we talk about navigation, just quick note, when you're working with students, really press them for methodical wiring. These wires are tucked between the motors. They can't hit the wheels, and the wires coming off the top also go right under the board. Pretty obvious to all of us, but to them, not always. Make sure that they use the lock nuts when assembling. We also have machine nuts, but the lock nuts are much better. However, if you're taking them apart at the end of each year, like many teachers do, maybe the machine nuts are fine. But just make sure they do good workmanship. I've been in hundreds of classes and seen these put together a variety of ways, and I think you got to demand some really good workmanship from them, because it'll manifest itself in other ways once we start getting into the breadboard. If they have messy work, things will just start to fail. So, okay, that's for that. Since most of all of you are connected, for Wednesday, you will go into this tutorial, which is Navigation Basics, and walk through this. Try all these different projects. You could see we've actually done the first, actually the second one. We skipped the first one. But you can do driving distances and then driving speeds. Okay, and when you're looking at these distance and speed blocks, kind of helpful, I'll show you here. I'm going to drag one out. You can also right-click on a block, make the inputs inline if your screen is getting too large, or external. So that's external, this is inline. Okay, 2 blocks, same way. Sometimes in our tutorials, you can't find the exact block because we've done this. So be on the lookout for that. And also know that the color of the blocks in the tutorials are keyed to the Blockly prop menu system on the left. So having taught a lot of these classes, like here's one where we have a speaker plugged in to pin 4, and you should plug that speaker in. And that block is kind of a tealish color? Stephanie, what's the right color? I don't know.
That's a good word for that.
Okay, so it's the frequency block. And over here, oh, there are a couple kind of frequency looking colors or teal looking colors, but it's this one. So sometimes you have to hunt around a little bit before you get really familiar with this. Okay, and when you create variables, I want you to know that you have to first make new variable and then name it. And then that variable is available from the list. So what you'll do is go through all of these projects, navigation basics. So it's distance, speed, taking turns, acceleration. There's plenty there to work with. And you can also, if you'd like, look at some of the projects for the ActivityBot, be thinking ahead. And the projects are, I thought that would take me to them. What's the easiest way, Stephanie?
Just click on ActivityBot under grade.
Oh.
And then if you scroll down past
Okay.
the prerequisites main lessons, there's projects.
Yeah, so get a look at some of these things too. There's a lot here. One of the things we're just adding right now is color camera. This is really neat. I'll have this demoing for you on Wednesday. And there's other stuff here like line following with color sensors. So this robot is programmed to turn right on yellow, turn around on green, and turn left on red, and then follow the line in the meantime. So there's a lot of stuff like that here. It's really fun. Infrared remote control, this all becomes quite easy with Blockly Prop. So you could both look at the project and then look at the code. So here we usually walk you through the building of the circuit and then breadboarding and then the code. Okay, so what do y'all think so far? Interesting stuff? Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, any Bobot users in here? I think we had one. Okay, so you'll notice right away, Linda, that with this robot, you can set the speed and forget it. And I think that's going to be a big benefit from the instruction you've done in the past about servo pulses. And come on, you just have to do this every 3 or 4 milliseconds. That's an awful lot sometimes for students to understand. So that is taken away here and, you know, traded out for a lot of power. And I prefer this. And how necessary it is for them to all understand that, I think it really depends on, you know, the type of class and whether or not you're teaching embedded engineers or you're teaching programmatic thinking and some basic robotics. All right, then I think we can shift over to the problem robots. And are there any questions so far? Or comments we should talk about before we adjourn for the working robots?
Sorry about my coworker there.
Oh, you might win the coworker award.
How do we know if we got the Educator code so that we can access all the tutorials and things like that?
Okay, so you should have received an email from us that was an automatic email that said, here's your code, go change your password. And it seems like some did and some didn't get it. We find this looks like a spam to some Gmail-based school email systems, and it may have been put into a folder.
I took a list of people who mentioned that in chat and forwarded it to Christina, so they will get a repeat email.
Did all of us receive this, or did some not? Maybe thumbs up, visual if you got it, and thumbs down if you didn't? Okay, so Joel doesn't have it.
Okay.
It's possible we didn't send it, yeah.
They emailed me and said that I should have received it. So what might have been the topic? What should I search for?
It says Educator account login to learn.parallax.com. So for those of you who do have it, you can go log in through the path we give you and then go to the Educators tab and then scroll down to the ActivityBot resources. And this is the teaching guide, scope and sequence, FAQs, and the assessment material, all this kind of stuff that is hidden from students. So if you don't have it, just send us an email too, or Stephanie's got your name and we'll get it for you. Okay, so we could adjourn for those who've got it, got the robot calibrated, and then we'll hang out here and try to troubleshoot the robots that are not calibrated. So Linda, let's start with yours.
Okay, so as you can see, I have untangled everything and did like you said. I have I went back and I have them plugged in the right space. I think right in 12 and left in 13. And so I went back in.
I think it's the reverse.
That's correct. It should be left in 12 and right in 13.
Look at me.
And then left yellow wire in 14 and right yellow wire in 15. And just a quick memory aid, if you look at 12, it's to the left of 13. And if you look at 14 for the yellow signal wires, it's to the left of 15. And so your left-right servos correspond with the left-right ports, just to make it easier.
So down, yeah, okay. Sure it doesn't want to run in my hand, right? That would be bad. That's my, I'm just gonna let it.
Looks like you're going through successful calibration.
It goes through all of the stuff and then it gets kind of scoochy at the end and the yellow lights blink.
Okay,
but,
so
yeah, see like that.
You're pretty sure you have the two servos in the right place? So your left motor is in pin 12. Okay. Try reversing, switching P14 and 15 yellow wires. Maybe those are not in the right spot. And it can be tricky even when you unplug one. It's like, which one did I just unplug? So
yeah, I should have got out the masking tape for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now you'll need to rerun it.
Okay.
While Linda's working on this, we could handle another one at the same time.
It's not
You
going
guys
to,
multitasking.
it's not going to successfully calibrate it or report that it's successfully calibrated if you're running it while you're holding it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Just double
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Yep.
So when we got on and we gave our new project a name, and then we had to pick a board, which board are we supposed to pick, and does it matter? Like, there are all those choices?
Yes. Pick the activity board.
Okay.
And the choice of board decides what blocks are present for you. So
Okay.
you'll need to pick the activity board for the robot blocks to show up.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
Linda?
No scoochies at the end.
Okay, so you just had the little yellow wires reversed.
Yeah. All right. So let me
Okay.
plug
Now,
this in and
the main thing is, did you also wait until the lights turned off and then
Yes.
after that? Okay, perfect.
okay. So now I'm going to try that report again.
Marco, success on your end? Yeah, you successful?
More or less. So I calibrated this guy, and it seems most of the time he just nods. I got it to actually work a couple times, but more times than not, it would just nod.
So at the end of the calibration, it did a little side-to-side wiggle like that?
Oh, you accidentally muted yourself. Let me Unmute you.
Careful, you might unmute while he mutes himself back.
Yeah, it wiggled most of the time. A couple times I did get it to do something else other than wiggle, but not consistently, or not 2 times in a row.
Andy, you ever seen that?
No. Usually, if there's something wrong, it'll wiggle, and if there's something right, the yellow lights just turn off. So if something's wrong, it'll wiggle, and the yellow lights will flicker. If something's right, the yellow lights will just turn off. And essentially, if they do that after it's done its maneuvers, then we don't have to repeat the calibration. It's just done.
Okay, so you're in switch position 1 right now. I saw you download. That's good.
1 moment. Sorry.
Meanwhile, Siri's trying to answer the tech call for us.
Okay, so load the code, make sure the lights come on, set it to position 0. Unplug, yep. Power on.
And
So
make sure
is
when
it going through its maneuvers now, Marco?
Marco, it doesn't look like you put it down.
Yeah, no, it seems like now I try to upload the calibration, it's failing now.
Oh, okay. So you're in position 1. Do you see the COM port in Blockly show up? Does it say searching, or do you see your COM port number?
This is COM3.
Okay, that's good.
And then try to compile to see download failed.
And third button over.
Click the COM port drop down. Do you see more than just 3 as an option?
No, just 3.
Okay. Now, if you unplug the bot, does 3 disappear?
No, not this time.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, it did. Now,
good.
Yeah, it might take a minute.
Okay, so then plug it back in. Let's see if 3 comes back.
Does it matter if it's on or off?
Well, only for the download. For the download or for loading the program, you'll need the switch to be in position 1.
Okay, so I'll turn it off, turn it back on, position 1, searching, COM3, came back up, load and run. It's working now.
Oh, good.
And then after it says completed, turn it.
Position switch to 0.
Put the switch on 0.
Okay.
And disconnect, and then put it on the ground and turn it to 2.
All right. Go back.
It's funny, everyone goes for a walk at this point.
Yeah.
Joel, how about you? Success?
Okay.
I haven't had, I don't think I need support. I put in new batteries. After I got it to work, then it said your batteries aren't strong enough. So I put in new batteries, recalibrated. It wiggles its tail 3 times, blinks, so something's not right. But
right. Trace those wires.
It is not giving me any information.
Is it just the generic something's not right here, but try a million things?
No, I mean, the terminal screen is absolutely blank.
Okay, and then is this when you have the display calibration results block running?
Correct.
Okay, try pressing and releasing the RST button above the 3 position switch while the terminal is still open.
I've done that. Oh, now you got that. Well, it still thinks there's a power supply. Is the shut jumper to the left of the 12 port set to VIN? What's that mean?
So there's a little tab that's sticking up there. just to the left of the 2 3-wire servo cables, there should be a small tab that's plugged onto 2 of 3 pins, 3 smaller pins that are sticking up there.
So which 2 should be covered?
The V-in and center pins, so the top and center pins.
Okay. It was covering the 5 volt.
Okay.
But there are 2. There's one for the servos and one for the signal. Which one are you speaking of?
So it should be the one to the left of the P12 servo port. That's the one that should be plugged over V-in and the center pin. And if it was plugged over 5V, that would explain the message.
Yep.
Okay. And then the one next to the yellow pins doesn't matter because there's no power being drawn. That's basically just a power setting.
Okay.
For the servos.
Okay, Marco, how did it go?
So the one next to P14 is not significant to us.
You got it. So you're ready to recalibrate, Joel, and then Marco?
I'm good.
Oh, right on.
Congrats.
Yeah, I guess so. I was holding it the first time it calibrated, so I tried redoing it again, but I guess I didn't put it to 0 before starting up again, before going back to 2. I guess that was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So Marco, why don't you just grab a little couple blocks like I'm showing you right here and make the robot go.
So we'll need the initialize along with those 2 blocks.
Holy cow, this thing's going with a lot more energy.
Oh
okay,
yeah, I can
that's
imagine.
A big difference. I made a program for you, Marco.
All right. Let's see it.
Did you see it?
No, it's not centered. I see 64, 64.
Yeah, and you can put whatever you want in there. And then change this drop down to something, and yeah, you'll see your robot go away. Okay, so Peter's still here, and Mikiko, they're quiet. Are you guys, is your robot working? They may have gone to lunch.
How do you guys want to hear our fail stories?
Oh, however depends on how humble you are.
I've got a really recent one that I kind of typed up.
We're ready to hear it.
So last week, it's warming up here in Iowa, so you got to get your mowers going. And I had kids out. I live on an acreage, so we're cleaning up sticks. And I had a mower that had a weak battery, and I thought, yeah, maybe I can still salvage this. So we jumped it off of another mower because you can fry them if you use too much, if you put too much energy at them. So I did that, and we had it running all day. The next day, one of my kids couldn't get it running again. So I thought, okay, we'll just jump it, and I'll deal with this battery issue later. Well, evidently, I wasn't careful enough, and I cross-wired that dumb thing. And so when I cross-wired it, it gave me I thought I was welding for a second. And because I'm in a hurry and my kids are grinding stumps and we're doing all kinds of stuff, I just figure, oh, well. And then after a little bit, I'm like, whoa, this is getting hot. This is not good. So I think I fried two batteries right there. Then,
oh, man.
Then I went to buy another one. So I went and bought another one in town.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had to replace the dumb thing because now I lost 2 batteries out of the deal. So I replace them, and I come back out, and I'm installing it. And while I'm installing it, a nut falls. So I go to grab it, and in the meantime, my open-end, closed-end wrench leans over and arcs across and drains that sucker down all the way. So anyway, it was not a successful day for me.
Well, yeah.
We did grind a lot of stumps, but I was spending more money on batteries than I cared to be spending for.
Well, you currently have the lead position of biggest fail among our group.
I took notes of that lovely story.
So provided no bigger losers show up, you might be the winner of a line following kit.
Oh, man. See? It's worth it. You could salvage part of my losses right there. There's a possibility that I would salvage part of I would have just redirected my income a different way.
Well, you burned at least $300 of batteries. Where are you in Iowa?
Way up in the northwest corner.
Oh.
So we're about 75 miles from Sioux Falls and about 45 miles from Sioux City.
Huh. Okay. I've done Ragbri.
Yeah, they call it Yeah, you had to come through the north route of Ragbri.
Yeah. And we work with the Keystone in the northeast corner quite a bit.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Kathy Hay.
Yeah,
And-
Kathy. I got to know Kathy through some of our code.org work.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I think I told you on the phone that we've hosted Chuck about two times up here in our school district to get other schools exposed.
Great.
Nice, Cirque, you mean?
Yeah.
All right.
Iowa's active.
So, yeah, Chuck's a great guy. We chose his course. Then I think there's been 3 of us that have gone through kind of a day or 2 of training with him with his curriculum. So it was fun.
Very cool.
That's fantastic.
All right. Well, I think we can conclude and then see you on Wednesday. All right.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Lots of fun. Thanks for joining.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Catch you later.